Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality of the best hair, and it's time for week 3 of...
The Summer of Leprechaun!
Bringing us to the third movie in the Leprechaun franchise, Leprechaun 3. Don't worry, the names will get confusing soon. But for now, we're going for the comparatively mild, zany ideas for Leprechaun movies. Leprechaun 1 took place in the middle of nowhere, Leprechaun 2 took place in Los Angeles, and so Leprechaun 3 takes place in Las Vegas. Which isn't exactly the cheapest place to film. Leprechaun 3 wasn't the biggest budget of the bunch, being the first direct-to-video sequel of the franchise, so for better or worse, the entirety of Leprechaun 3 was filmed over the course of 2 weeks. This time, we follow a few young adults whose chance meeting in Las Vegas is going about as normal as Vegas goes, until a leprechaun is released in the city! A whole ton of rules are retconned or pulled out of thin air, and it doesn't matter. We've clearly stopped trying to be serious about things at this point. This movie's entire premise is putting a leprechaun in zany situations and seeing what kind of jokes they can pull off and how entertaining that can be. So let's take a look at Leprechaun 3 and find out. We open up in Las Vegas. No time skip or extra locations in this movie. It's 1995 and we're on the Vegas Strip, which evidently is home to not only all the world-famous casinos, but a little pawn shop run by Gupta, played by Marcelo Tubert. His night is going as usual. A disheveled customer comes in looking to hawk some priceless artifacts for gas money to get the hell out of this town. Specifically, Lucky, played by Richard Reicheg.
What is this horrible thing?
He's a good luck charm.
Yes, I can see it's working very well.
Which is obviously a leprechaun in statue form with a medallion around its neck. We have barely started and I can already tell they're going to retcon the hell out of all of the lore. Lucky says, no matter what, never touch the medallion. Okay, no problem. Just give him his $20 for the statue, then immediately grab the medallion and check if it's worth anything. Which causes the statue to become a living leprechaun. Gupta doesn't notice this, but he does notice the big pot of gold left in the statue's place. And of course, the leprechaun attacks, biting his ear. And no, that isn't a reference to the Tyson incident. That wouldn't happen for 2 more years. In the same city, though. Besides, the leprechaun goes even further, chomping his toe off. But before he can finish Gupta, he sees the medallion, which terrifies him. No idea why, but here's an anti-leprechaun amulet. Well, that's that then. The leprechaun decides to just say fuck it and leave, but accidentally drops a gold coin on the way out. No time to dwell on that, we've got to introduce more characters. Scott, played by John Gattins, and Tammy, played by Lee Armstrong. She's having car trouble, but even worse, she only managed to flag Scott down for assistance.
Well, see, someone stole your engine.
Oh god, he's one of those people who spray gasoline on their Tesla. Until he is suddenly very well versed in automotive engineering.
Have you ever blown a rod before?
I beg your pardon?
Don't worry about it. Let's lubricate the crankshaft and see what it does. Unfortunately for Tammy, Scott isn't able to pull an engine out of his ass right there on the side of the highway, and she has to get to work. It's cool, he offers her a ride. That way we can get back to what's going on at the pawn shop. Gupta intends to know what he's dealing with. Fortunately, he just so happens to have a handy-dandy Leprechaun exoration on PC CD-ROM. Seems that they really like gold. To that effect, hey, the Leprechaun realizes he's missing a coin.
I'm 1 shilling short!
Now come on, 3 movies in, you should be used to being short. To keep the rest of it safe, he puts it in a safe, while the video exposits that the gold is where the leprechauns get their power, and other useful information.
Potatoes are a leprechaun's favourite meal. Like all good Irishmen, he loves his spuds.
Not quite. Leprechauns don't hate potatoes, they'll eat them just fine, but wildflowers are where it's at. They'll gobble that stuff right up. And beer. No meat or dairy, though. If you got a little butter on those potatoes, it's liable to make the leprechaun sick. Not according to this movie, like going by actual leprechaun legends. As Gupta goes leprechaun hunting, he just so happens to find that gold coin that the creature dropped. How unfortunate. But one more thing.
If a mortal gets hold of a leprechaun's gold, he'll be given 1 wish for every shilling in his possession. He can have anything he wants in the whole world.
Okay. 3 wishes for catching them is actually part of legend, but 1 wish per shilling? For 100 shillings in a pot, that's 100 wishes. Could someone please tell the DM they fucked up? As Gupta misses that very important point, we jump back over to Scott and Tammy. They've reached the lucky shamrock, and she can get to work, but Scott thinks the best way to establish this love interest is by going creepy stalker mode. He's like, hey, I know I'm not 21 yet, but could you sneak me in? Tammy says no, she could lose her job for that. Shortly before she says okay, but no gambling. Okay, back to Gupta. The Leprechaun tricks him into firing at a reflection before going Looney Tunes on the gun, disarming the man. He's still got that medallion, keeping him alive at least a little longer. Never mind that situation for now, we've got more characters to introduce. The magician, Fazio, played by John DeMita, and Loretta, played by Caroline Williams. She wants to be his assistant, but Fazio's like, psh, no, you're old and fat. Or at least your wardrobe is supposed to make you look that way.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm late, Fazio.
I told you, you will address me as Great One. Off stage and on.
This movie is working to establish that everyone in this town is a piece of shit in record time. As Fazio is an incompetent fool, barely able to do the 3-ring trick, but he thinks they just need to up the ante with the addition of his newest magical tool, a flamethrower! This gets the attention of the head of the casino, Mitch, played by Michael Collin. He will have none of this. Fazio is a fool, and Loretta should be on the floor working. No one is going to treat Tammy this way.
You keep playing hard to get. You mark my words, she'll come around. I guarantee.
But in case you're wondering, not only is he an asshole, he's quite possibly the worst one of them there, including the Leprechaun. But this is Vegas! You don't need a leprechaun to end your life when you can just ruin it yourself. Scott thinks, I could keep driving and go to college, or I could take this money my parents gave me for my tuition and just get $23,000 worth of chips! But we've still got more characters to introduce. Arthur, played by Tom Dugan, and his meat-headed muscle, Tony, played by Roger Hewlett. Seems Mitch owes Art some money for some reason, and he promises to pay them back in just a bit. First, we gotta get back to that whole leprechaun in the pawn shop standoff thing.
There was an old man of Madras whose balls were made of fine brass. So in stormy weather, they both clanged together and sparks flew out of his ass.
Yes, I distinctly remember that one making its rounds around the schoolyard. Gupta invited the Leprechaun in this time. He has a deal to make. Seems the Leprechaun doesn't like the medallion. Well then, half the pot of gold, and Gupta will let him do whatever he wants with it. Leppy's like, sure, just put it away. But it's all just a ruse! Obviously! The Leprechaun doesn't intend to give away his gold, but instead beat the ever-loving fuck out of Gupta! Later, first we gotta watch Scott lose all his money because Loretta is cheating, and then stop to see Fazio's oh-so-amazing magic. Watch as he makes all of his admiration disappear. Totally not Tammy's fault. Something, trapdoor keeps getting jammed. Anyway, what about that leprechaun on the loose? Not important just yet. First, we gotta see how Scott's doing. Horrible! He's lost absolutely everything to Loretta's rigged roulette wheel. She still eggs him on to keep playing, though.
But I don't have any more money.
Nice watch there. Could bring a nice chunk of change.
Jeez, how scummy do they have to be made? Casinos don't have to cheat. The odds are in their favor. That's how they work. They get you to play, and they're gonna make money. They don't have to rig them to rob you of $23,000. And then after literally stealing that money from him, just trying to go straight for the shirt off his back. How evil of an asshole do you have to be in this? She's like, oh, bound to win at some point, so just pawn that thing across the street and come back to this here table for some betting. But oh yeah, pawn shop, where the leprechaun is beating Gupta to death for his coin! Not the best strategy, as the man dies before the leprechaun can get the location of the gold out of him, and Scott shows up before he can search. Finding Gupta dead, he calls for help.
I found a dead person. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. All right, I'll wait right here.
Which of course he doesn't, but that doesn't really matter anyway. The police abso-fucking-lutely never respond to the call all movie. Scott also finds the gold coin. How convenient! Even more so is that the Leprechaun lesson pops back up, talking about leprechauns being territorial, and of course that you get one wish for every shilling in your possession.
A wish, huh? I wish I was back at the casino on a winning streak.
And weirdly enough, when you make a wish in this movie, you actually get it, instead of the leprechaun using it as a means to twist your words and give you something terrible that you never actually wanted. Hell, even real leprechauns are more devious about it than this. As Scott's winning streak isn't on the penny slots, no, it's back at the roulette wheel where he is raking in all the dough. He's already got his entire 23 grand back, and he's working on bankrupting the motherfucking casino. Loretta can't even cheat because the rigged wheel breaks. The only way they can stop his streak is to decide, hey, this wheel's closed for the time being, sorry about that. Now that they gave up on getting the money back, Mitch does the classic casino move of rewarding his lucky guest with a complimentary room. Why not stick around in this casino some more and bet, like, all that stuff, and soon. But Tammy sees this and realizes that Scott ignored her wishes and gambled. No worries, he can explain.
I got the fever or something. I mean, I was losing my shirt, and then I went to pawn my watch, and then I found a dead guy.
You what?
Yeah, at the pawn shop.
And I realized that guy must have been far unluckier than me, and boom, Scott has returned to clean out all your asses. Somehow, this little aside doesn't bother her so much, nor that Scott takes the opportunity to creep up to her that he wants to share his good fortune, because she's got more important things to do. Tell Scott to go to his room, keep his head down, trust no one, and get the hell out of Vegas as soon as he can. Wouldn't hurt considering the leprechaun is stalking around the strip. Though while looking for his lost shilling, he's not above taking advantage of the fact that he's in frickin' Las Vegas and cutting loose with the king.
Vegas, my kind of town.
I think it's safe to say that the further we go into this series, the more it becomes, screw it, we're making a horror movie about a killer leprechaun, let's just have fun with it. So as Fazio works to amaze the audience with his cheap magic, the leprechaun uses real magic to give him a handful of leprechaun shit! Taking care of that little issue, Loretta stops Fazio to point out Scott, the kid that's won a ridiculous sum at the roulette wheel. They need it back. But Loretta also says there's something weird about his gold coin, and she wants that for herself. So as Scott cleans up, Fazio slips in, looking for the cash. But instead, he finds... Hey, Fazio, like the video might help you find the coin. And subscribe. You might not find the coin that way, but you will find the rest of the Summer of Leprechaun as it comes out with a new review every Wednesday. Oh, sorry, gotta go. Give him hell, Fazio. But Fazio only manages to find the gold coin.
Hey! What are you doing in my room?
That's right, Fazio. Show, don't tell. So he must run! All this right before the leprechaun shows up, looking for his coin. Scott's not cooperating, so the leprechaun bites him in the arm. So Scott stabs him in the face and throws him out the window. But you should know by now we still gotta wait for them to establish how to kill a leprechaun in this movie. But what about Scott? The leprechaun bite is slowly turning him into a leprechaun. Because leprechauns are zombies. Or lycanthropes. Well, no matter what it is, I think it finally does explain why they didn't see JD past the 40-minute mark in the first movie. So he passes out, and Fazio returns, but only with the coin. However, while Loretta insists it predicts the winning number, it doesn't do shit for them. Fazio isn't impressed, and he's got work to do. While Mitch shows up and decides, you know what? If Loretta can't get the money back, she can just hand over the swanky gold coin in the meantime as collateral. Loretta takes the opportunity to point out that Mitch is a loser who couldn't get a dame if his life depended on it. Least of all the hot young thing he's been drooling over all movie, Tammy.
Yeah, I could have Tammy if I wanted her.
You wish.
Yeah. I wish.
Oh! Well, it suddenly got a hell of a lot more awkward. As the wish of Mitch works without a hitch, Tammy is suddenly all over him and she wants him now. So they make a beeline for Mitch's suite and Loretta realizes that must be it. It is a wishing coin. First though, we gotta see exactly how Tammy likes to get down.
Like this.
Oh, the wish is still in effect. It just so happens that Tammy is a sadomasochistic dominatrix and has such sights to show him. After Mitch is done getting his ass kicked, they reach his room and it's time for the Tammy tease. But Loretta slips in and snatches the gold coin out from under their noses.
Mitch?
Come and get me, baby.
Oh, darn it, the wish wore off the minute the coin ended up in someone else's possession. CD-ROM forgot to mention that little caveat. As such, Tammy is disgusted at Mitch and knees him in the groin, at which point he fires her, of course. But we've got more important things to cover. Leprechaun's still looking for his gold, and Scott has just come to after that little leprechaun bite. How's he feeling?
Potatoes.
Hungry for potatoes, as he is turning into a leprechaun. Which I guess means he's just turning into an Irishman. The next stage of the transformation, he's going to go off on how the Brits are a bunch of little shits. This leprechaun has other business to attend to, though. Mitch has more than earned his horror movie death, so the leprechaun takes over the TV, getting one of them late-night ladies with the big, hair to talk directly to Mitch, acting like the girl from The Ring with double D's coming out of the TV for Mitch, which he doesn't see any problem with. But while this is going on, Scott runs into Tammy running away, learning that that lecherous bastard went too far this time, and he intends to stand up for what is right.
If we let him get away with it, he'll do it again to somebody else. And I don't know about you, but I'm not gonna let that happen.
Sure. What the hell are you gonna do about it, Scott? Walk up to him like, oh, you think about what you've done. Now apologize to her right now. Not gonna be much of Mitch left when they arrive anyway, as the woman transforms into a horrifying robot with tits, and he is electrocuted.
Oh, Scott.
I'm gonna have a hard time explaining this.
Where's me silly?
Oh, never mind. Just tell the police it was a leprechaun. That always works. Scott and Tammy escape the leprechaun, right as Arthur and Tony show up, asking the corpse for their money.
What the hell's going on here?
And considering what's transpired over the last 5 minutes, everyone seems to be taking it really well. Until the leprechaun gouges Tony's eye out and proceeds to beat them both to death.
Tell me, what was Judy Garland really like?
No, never mind. Actually, they take that surprisingly well, too. While Tammy and Scott work to escape, though, Scott begins transforming more and more into a leprechaun. What key is there to stopping this horrifying fate?
That's where it all happened.
Where?
At the pawn shop across the street. That's where I found the coin.
And the dead guy, Gupta, he was semi-important for the first act. But where is the gold coin right now? Well, in the possession of Loretta, of course. She wishes to be young and sexy once again, which means boom! Her wig, sagging tits, and ass padding magically disappear, and she struts her stuff for Fazio, proving that the magic of the coin really works.
I wish I was a man so I could just screw myself right into the floor.
That is 1 wish per shilling, remember? Hearing that the magic of the coin is that it grants wishes, Fazio says yoink and runs like hell, which doesn't break the spell this time because, reasons. But what is Fazio's masterful wish?
I wish that I was the greatest magician in the world.
Sorry, Fazio, you ain't turning into David Copperfield. This movie don't got the budget for that. While Fazio gets his wish, Loretta is still enjoying hers, uninterrupted, until the leprechaun arrives. So the lass wants to look beautiful, does she? Well, why not go all the way with that? Give the girl some Kardashian tits, top it off with some Kardashian lips, and we cannot forget the good old-fashioned Kardashian ass, enhancing and expanding her features until she explodes!
Now that was quite a load to have to explode. What a lovely lass. I had to blow up your ass, but now I must hit the road.
That's an entertaining bloke whose victims go up in smoke, but once they're defeated, is a limerick needed when the entire scene was a joke? Anyway, back to the pawn shop. We got like 26 minutes of movie left. Better tell us how to beat the thing this time around.
If you destroy his gold, you destroy the leprechaun.
How would you look at that? The method was on the Leprechaun CD this whole time. They just didn't bother to show us that part until now. The medallion is also a thing, never talked about on the CD-ROM, but it still seems to work to repel Scott. On the flip side, there is something in the pawn shop that Scott can sense, and he wants it.
Wait here, darling. I think I'm onto something.
And yes, the more and more he transforms into a leprechaun, the more he speaks in an Irish accent, even though he is effectively an American leprechaun. Leprechauns are Irish, he speaks in an Irish accent. Okay, next time a movie pulls out the devil, I expect him to speak in a thick Jersey tongue. Using his leprechaun magic, Scott discovers the pot of gold. Tammy's like, cool, we can destroy it, but Scott's leprechaunism is getting too strong, and he wants his gold. Oh yeah, that reminds me, there's a leprechaun in this movie, and he wants his gold. Oh yeah, the gold wishes, no problem. Just wish the leprechaun is dead. That'll do the trick.
You silly little twit! Have you forgotten the charm? A leprechaun's gold can do him no harm.
Okay, then wish yourself invulnerable to leprechauns. There are still plenty of options here to try. Forget about the wishing, then never try that again. Instead, it's toss a coin, distract the leprechaun, knock him down, grab the medallion, and run like hell. Straight to the hospital to see if they can do anything about Scott's onset of leprechaunitis.
Now listen to me. This may mean the difference between living and dying. Do you have health insurance?
But if you thought the leprechauns treated human lives as playthings in the way of their gold, you haven't seen the doctors yet. Once they find out the kid's absolutely loaded, then it's all good. In fact, it's so good, they'll do all the tests they can think of. For his health, of course.
Let's just start with every test that begins with the letter A. Tomorrow we'll do the B's, and then Thursday
You play golf on Thursday?
Well, if this is an emergency.
Sounds to me like one of the writers got stuck with an unwarranted bill and is still salty about it. But a strange voice on the intercom called Tammy to the morgue. He or she finds a dead body! Like that wasn't supposed to be. That's because the leprechaun is here, trapping Tammy just as Scott frees himself from his binds, taking out all the doctors with sedatives. These don't count as the body count rising. Scott's a good leprechaun, swooping in to save the day. But the little leprechaun is far more powerful than the newbie, summoning flames.
Now where's me shilling?
Fazio's the one with your shilling! It's him you should be killing!
And you know this how? I mean, it's true. Fazio grabbed the coin from Loretta and ran off, but Loretta was the only one that knew that happened, and she was killed before she could tell anybody. So how do you know that Fazio has the coin in a way that means that the leprechaun doesn't know? Ah, well, he knows now. Thus, Scott can use his cantrips to unbind Tammy, and she can use the medallion to keep the leprechaun at bay. So it's back to the casino and Fazio's magic show. What kind of spell does the greatest magician in the world have for us? Oh, just the same flamethrower thing he was dicking around with in Act 1. Until the leprechaun shows up and steals the show. He traps Fazio in a box and has a new trick. He's gonna cut him in half with a motherfucking chainsaw! You okay, Faz? You don't look so great. But what's this? Scott and Tammy show up to save everyone but Fazio. I mean, yeah, the leprechaun got his gold coin back, meaning that he has all his gold and therefore no reason to bother with mortals now. But he had to destroy the gold, destroying the leprechaun in the process, and unleprechauning Scott, because that's how it works. Either way, happy ending! Scott's back to normal, Tammy has fallen in love with him, and they can leave. But oh, looky here, they still got 1 shilling. Could wish for anything.
I think I have everything I want.
You know something, sweetheart? This could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
And so Scott is going to bring her home and learn that she is a sadomasochistic dominatrix the hard way. Anyway, that was Leprechaun 3. That was a lot of fun, even though there was next to no plot to it. When half the scenes of the Leprechaun aren't there to progress the plot, but just to enjoy the damn movie, that tells you what you're getting into here. Leprechaun 3 is a Leprechaun in Vegas. That's the concept, the aspiration, and the execution on display here. It makes for a fun movie to watch, but there are a few drawbacks. For guys like me who enjoy some serious lore to back up their horror monsters, Leprechaun 3 doesn't try all that much here. We have our Leprechaun lore cheat sheet, but as it's the second time the lore's been rewritten in as many sequels, I'm not assuming much of what's established here is going to matter going forward. I'm just here for the ride at this point, and Leprechaun 3 is a fun one, for the most part. The acting is a clear step down from previous entries, which weren't even particularly high bars, mind you, and the movie spends more time with its silly antics than it does with anything resembling subtext. Sure, we could flesh out the world more, but wouldn't it be more fun to watch a leprechaun at the craps table? And we could take a deeper dive into Tammy's aspirations to be a magician herself instead of just an assistant, but wouldn't it be more fun to have the leprechaun meet Elvis? At the end of the day, Leprechaun 3 is a fun movie. The characters are horror movie dumb, the acting is stiff, and the lore is all over the place, but it's a fun ride with the sights and sounds of Vegas to jingle those keys in front of the audience for 90 minutes. Coming in at 2 convenient Leprechaun CD-ROMs out of 5. Why not a 3? Well, the plot and acting really do matter a lot to me, and as fun as it was to watch, that just really helped prevent it from being a 1. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, it is 1 wish per shilling. I really wish this makes it to the trending page.
Next time, I'll take the elevator.
Ah, Vegas, no town quite like it. And what other horror movie monsters have made a stop off in this particular city for an entry? Oh yeah, the Djinn from Wishmaster 2. And unlike Wishmaster 4, that movie's actually kind of worth watching in my opinion. Or you could always check out the random, algorithmically selected video just for you, whatever YouTube thinks you want to watch. Are they right or not? Let's see.